You're listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen. And now, here's your host, Coach Roel.
All right, welcome. Coach Roel here with another episode of the Act As If podcast with a very special guest, actually an old family friend of mine. I've known this guy since we were both kids. Bobby Gerongco, also known as Bobby Brass of Kuya Productions. How are you doing, Bobby?
I'm great, Roel. Good to catch up with you, man. Looking good.
This is awesome. I'm really excited to catch up with you. So we've been messaging a little bit back and forth, and you got some pretty cool stuff going on right now. So you're in the driver's seat. What's life like now? What's like the big celebration? What are you grateful for?
Well, I'd say since the last time we spoke, one of the biggest wins I have right now is I just finished the Series A round for a music tech app that I've been developing over the last year and a half. And it was a little bit difficult towards the end of last year securing funding. And it was a blessing in disguise because we found the perfect partners now that not only give us the capital, but have such added value. So I'm really, really excited about it. It's going to be a very, special tool once it launches, once we go to market next year, to really, really provide optimization of asset management for independent creators. And I'm stoked. This has been a dream, so. That's
amazing. So is it still top secret? Can you reveal any name yet?
It's a little bit still top secret, only because it's a first mover to the market. So we just got to make sure that we keep it a little tight. But
okay.
It's
Can you tell us what it does? Yeah. What does it do?
Yeah. So, there's just a lot of disparate sources of income, and it's very hard to manage your IP in the music industry. So I'm not sure if you know, but it's very, very complicated how you receive your royalties. And now with TikTok, you're writing a bunch of different songs. You're not relying on one song on radio that's going to generate millions of dollars. Now you're writing thousands of songs across different creators and trying to make sure you're getting all this money worldwide. So it's very, very complicated. So our tool allows people to manage their assets and monitor their royalties. It optimizes that whole flow. And because we're self-employed, as you know, we get lump sums here and there. So this will allow us to assetize it properly and be able to leverage it for, lending and diversifying our investments outside of the music industry, which is what we always talk about and all the things that you've been able to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So for example, if I'm a creator and I write a jingle or a snippet, not necessarily a full song, I can put it somewhere out there on the internet and kind of like on consignment, I guess. I've seen these aggregator sites, and then I might make a few dollars of people using it, and then your app would allow me to track where that money came from. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's cool.
Anybody can distribute. There's a lot of tools where, like, say, Roel wrote a song called, Coach Number One, Ready to Come at You, whatever, right? And then you're able to publish it to TikTok, Spotify, very similar to the podcast, right? But you can have it everywhere. But not only that is, people on social media will remix it. They might use it. They might use the songs in, some of their YouTube videos. Who knows? Someone might look at it and go, "Oh, wow, I love Coach Roel's platform. I love this song. I'd love to put this in a commercial, or I'd love to put it in a TV show because it just matches this one scene."
Right.
So, but with all of those other exploitations on different platforms, you have to make sure that you're actually receiving the proper income. And there's no regulation where this is concerned. So, not knocking any of these collectors, but additional support for the independent creator allows them to do that without hiring a business manager to track all that.
So then, for example, I put it out there on what's a distribution platform that's very well known for this use
one that's
case?
very TuneCore
TuneCore. Okay, so for example, I put something out there on TuneCore. It's me singing off tune and trying hard, and it somehow it goes viral because it's like, check out this guy, he's trying so hard. And then people use it, but then once it's out there, how would I be able to track if someone's like, if 1,000 people have then turned it into a meme or some
right? So this is where your collector. So TuneCore not only distributes it, but they're going to administer the collection on your behalf, but only for what's called the master recording. There are a bunch of other royalties associated with the publishing side, which is the composition aspect. And you would have to sign up with different societies. You would either sign up with a PRO, it's called a PRO for your performance royalties, and then also a publisher. Or you self-publish, but this is where it gets a little complicated. You have different collectors collecting different royalties owed to you that do not really speak to each other. So there's really no way to know if you're getting what you're supposed to be getting, as well as, they have their own issues with trying to track everything worldwide as well. So it's a good additional tool alongside.
Oh, very cool. So then so you were able to raise a Series A round of funding, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Can you reveal a ballpark how much you were able to? We can celebrate with you.
Probably, yes. It's fine. It's 3 million. It'll probably be something that's
nice.
Published as well at some point. So
3 million.
And it's great. It's exactly what we need. It's for early stage. It's a very normal kind of fun to be working with. And it's very tech. It's all about the technology, and so this will allow us to really build out the really robust tool because of how complicated things are. It's just so amazing because it's like you have this idea and you write it on paper, and it seems very hard to attain at first, and then you see how there's no difference, like getting the first 30,000. Seems like who would give 30,000 to this like random concept. Then it goes to 300,000, and then from there it's just a jump to like 3 million. And it's there's not that much difference in between of what you need to do. It's pushing the boundary, and it kind of like really believing in it.
What was as you mentioned, you go from like 3,000 then 30, etc. Did you like building it over the last little bit, because we were trying to catch each other for probably about a year now, trying to get caught up. In that time, what do you feel it took to be able to get to where you are now? Like there were stages. I mean, I'm totally ignorant about app development and all that sort of stuff. So how long did this process take you?
It took a year and a half. So because I have a partner, and we were thinking about how do we solve our own problems. So this is where we were like, oh, we're so excited about this idea. And then from there, you have to flush out, is this an actual need that people all need? Because we're of a certain type. We're not only producers, songwriters, we're business managers, we're publishers. So we do have a business mindset. So it's like going, hey, how wide would this go with people, artists who are really creative in nature that may not want to be responsible for these kinds of things, like monitoring their royalties, and push it off to someone else? How is that going to be and what kind of model are we going to use? Is it going to be subscription? Is it going to be this and that? So I would say the biggest thing that helped was having a proper team and expanding the team, and also including the user in the development of the product to make sure that it's something like we've invested in some technological platforms where they did not involve the user, and therefore you believe in this idea, and then at the end of the day, it's not something that's in high demand, right?
So how many beta testers did you have involved with this?
Quite a bit. At the beginning, it was like just interview based, where we would do surveys and ask certain questions. So we weren't imposing the idea, because if you're like, hey, this is all the reasons you need this, would you like it? Of course, they're going to be like, yes, I love it. So we did, interviews of 10 people at the beginning. And then from there, go, does this line up with our idea? And then we took it a little bit further out to about 30 people. And then once we developed the minimum viable product, the MVP, we started with 100 people actually using it and
cool.
being able to see, do they? And then from there, that's where it just started. And then there's, it's just all the feedback from that allowed us to really go, hey, this is something really, really special, and we can prove it. So.
And then how did you raise the capital? Was it like you went on a road show and you're like setting up in hotel ballrooms and inviting people for lunch, or did you like do a bunch of Zoom calls and word of mouth? How formal?
So it was mostly Zoom calls at the beginning, but we actually engaged a financial advisor that specializes in these kinds of raises. So it was relatively easy because we kind of had a template of this network of people and what they look for, and we were very properly advised. So anytime we would be like, hey, we're ready to present something, this financial advisor and his team would literally pick apart every single thing that they thought that someone who would be really interested in this would want to know before they actually threw down a check. And also, we're able to filter out the targets, like who are the right people to approach, what is their appetite, and did a lot of soft meetings. And then I actually didn't have to travel at all. My business partner actually went in person and met with some of the people. And it was pretty easy after that, because once we had this real prototype ready, the testing and just what it can do, it became more of these investors not wanting anyone else to be involved this early. So it was like, yes.
So from the user's point of view, is there like a free version and then a monthly subscription, or is it a one-time download? How does that part work?
Great question. There will be tiers. So it's not to market yet. So with the raise, we're going to do more research. There's a few things to like legalities and stuff like that. But the tier system is important that there is a free version, because we want to allow independent creators that haven't been able to scale yet or professionalize to a certain level to have access to these tools, because this is what we're really trying to solve. Is these are the people who might have a bunch of songs on TikTok, a bunch of money out there, and if they know what they're supposed to be collecting and it's done properly to avoid mishaps in the future, they can professionalize properly. And there's a big gap. Before it was like 1% making all of the 99%, but it's probably 100 at this point, making all this money, and everyone trying to make, I'm getting 5,000 here, 10,000, 50, but if it adds up and you kind of know when it's gonna come, then you can kind of have some kind of projection of your cash flow, budget accordingly, and invest accordingly. So the free tier is important.
So with that app, that's really cool. But I want to squeeze in some of the other stuff that you've been also doing as well. So, you take the lead. What was it that the second biggest thing that you've been working on the last little while?
So, the last time I had spoken to you, well, not the last time, but one of the conversations we had, I think it was maybe in November of 2021, but, we were talking about marketing, and we were squeezing a little bit of a conversation after we were speaking about real estate and loans, about branding. And I was, giving you a lot of, compliments as to your platform, what you were doing, the assets you have, the programs you have available. And when you had asked me about some of my goals in the future, you had suggested, you should, really do the same thing with your community, the music community, and focus not only on your branding, but you have these products already that you can provide. So I really took it upon myself to really go, hey, you know what? I'm going to embrace this, the marketing of my own brand, as well as the brand of Kuya. And a couple of things happened is, I was able to get formal coaching sessions, because I was doing those, goal setting workshops for free and also to test. And I continued to do that. But then I really attracted clients that really wanted me to coach them personally on a weekly basis. And that has expanded not only my network, but also my income, which was one of my big goals, was to have another revenue stream.
Oh, so you're like a creator coach?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Creator coach. And there's some people that are not creators, but I consider everyone a creator. It just happens that people, equate that to only music, only, actors, writers. But whether you're a salesperson, you have to have creativity and solutions, conversation. If you get some blocks, how do you creatively pivot? It's fascinating. So, but primarily, which also you advised me on, was like, hey, start with, the people you already have access to use your expertise. And it just so happened that other people, wanted the same kind of benefits. And some people wanted it outside of their job. So it could be, hey, I'm a sales executive by day, but I really, really think I could write a book. And it could be sales. It could also be something completely nothing career oriented,
Oh, very cool. So describe who would be your who is your ideal coachee?
So my ideal, I would say, is definitely desiring more in whatever they're doing, and has a desire to impact the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like even when I'm thinking about one sales exec, she had a certain income ceiling that she was experiencing, but she realized, I'm really good at this and I'm recognized. I'm hitting the ceiling within the workforce as an employee working for someone else, but I could really advise people worldwide on these sales tactics and things that I've excelled and who literally came from nothing and all the way to the top. And so that's a desire to use her expertise and share it and impact people on a wider scale. So that is my favorite. Not to say that I wouldn't want to help someone that does something very singular, but that is my ideal preference of someone I take as a client.
Mm-hmm. So it's more corporate, because I know your background, Kuya Productions. We'll talk about that probably in the second part of our interview. Are you focusing at all with like a music production or artistic creators, or is it more corporate clients?
Oh, so for these kind of clients, for the coaching, so when it comes to do with music, I would consider more music consultations, very specific.
Okay.
I would incorporate some overall coaching into life goals and stuff like that, but there really is a specific strategy with music related stuff. So I would say that would fall under the music consultation. So the coaching aspect, it could also be, I think, personal brand. So you could be a corporate exec, you could be an artist that also desires to do other things and create their own platforms, and maybe also have, instead of just being an artist, create their own company that has all these different funnels. Maybe they're also starting to consult other people or sign some people underneath them and, want to scale their business. So it's not just me about developing them as a musician, artist, songwriter, producer, but they might have other endeavors. They might want to start their own music app. They might want to do all these amazing things, and I would coach them. But I think the personal brand is the one I'm excited about. I've seen you do it. I've seen the results of myself doing it, and I think everyone should have that.
Very cool. Well, that's really awesome. One last question for you. Now that you've gone so far and you've raised this money for the app, you're on the doorstep of launching it. You're doing coaching as well. These are all fairly new things within the last year and a half. Where do you go from here now that you're at this part? What's the next step, and then how is that in relation to where you were just a year and a half ago?
So I would like to scale everything. Like, even so, we didn't speak about some of the other things, like my production company, and as well as my publishing company. But what I'd really, really like to do is a lot of these things were started in the ground up with smaller teams. I'd really, really like to hire the right people that can really grow these companies. And, with Kuya, we compiled a lot of footage of our lives growing up and how we got into music. And we started a documentary. And that's one project. And in order for it to really see the light, we need to hire people to really make it a good full production and, go in the festivals and get distribution, all that, these different things. Same thing with a publishing company. It's just becoming more successful, but we need to hire the right people in place that can do more of the development, plug these different things. So in the next year, I'd really like to see these hit the next level, which is now we're going to Series B with the app. We now have 5 to 10 employees, and our writers that we represent have 10x, 15x to their cash flow and income, and myself included. These are some of these. I'm still trading a lot of my time for work. How we connected too was I was just so excited about the investment opportunities outside of music. So I did my first one in Brickell. You weren't too excited about Miami, but you did say, hey, lifestyle, make sure the first one. And I was like thinking more closer to what you did, but you kept pressing lifestyle. So I did the first one because I knew that I'd want to go there as well. And then as a result, it's done really well for me. And now I want to do another one. So that will be, my investment and, have my cash flow from that going. And that's really, some of my biggest dreams for next year, as well as having a really, really substantial operation in Toronto, the hometown.
Nice.
We started looking at properties over there. We rented a studio there now, but I'd like to have a big play there. It is popping for entertainment there right now. So
very cool. Well, we're going to have to get you back to talk about that and give us an update on those things. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very, very cool. Thanks, Bobby Brass from Kuya Productions, for being here for part 1 of our Act As If interview. Make sure you stick around for next time. The next week, we'll release part 2 of our interview with Bobby. But until then, Coach Roel out with Bobby Brass.
All right. Thanks, Coach. You the
Thank
man.
You.
You've been listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen.